Joining us right now, House Financial Services Committee Chairman Patrick McHenry. I want to get into that, but I actually want to get into what Steve Leisman just reported here, Congressman, which is, do you believe that there is a guarantee effectively for deposits across the country?
Well, that's a clear message that the FDIC, in coordination with the administration, was attempting to make with the backstopping of Silicon Valley and Signature Bank deposits. They're trying to send the message that your bank accounts are safe in America, so there's no need to move money from one account, one bank to another based off some social media feed or
right.
some report. That's a clear message they're sending, and I think that's the appropriate message to send.
But do you think there needs to be legislation
in a week like this?
Do you think there needs to be legislation effectively that puts this in writing? Because one of the things that's clear is that for them to do what they did, even just over the weekend, required effectively emergency powers and the agreement of all of these different parties. That's different than saying it's guaranteed across the board and without such emergency powers.
No, what has happened thus far, let's just cover that and understand where we are at this moment. The Federal Reserve did what central banks do. They're the lender of last resort. That's one. And two, the FDIC backstops insured deposits and has extraordinary power in certain times of stress to do a wider array of things to ensure that we don't have financial instability or a liquidity crisis. And both of these agencies of government are working in accordance with the law and with regulation. That should send a clear sign to the American people that they should have confidence in the nation's banking system.
Congressman, you're concerned about the role of social media in all of this. And it is very true that we are at an inflection point, perhaps, where information, good and bad information, can spread quite quickly. But more importantly, in an age of digital commerce and digital banking, you can therefore then go act on it. You can go move your money on an app, on your phone, literally, in that moment. And how you think that changes the role and responsibility that perhaps the platforms have or the people on them have?
Well, for hundreds of years, timing has been a key element of finance, and this is not new. The idea that you're going to stop the flow of information, to stop the flow of money, is not a responsible assumption that we can make happen. People complain about the telegraph and the telephone. We just have a faster form of media distribution and communications distribution. What we need to have is a resilient financial system that conveys to the American people that they should have strength, that they should understand this, number one, and they should take appropriate safeguards with their deposits and their money, and the financial system should do the same as well. That should be the clear message here, not trying to throttle people from communicating or for people to use their money as they see fit.